If you're actually interested in why so many people are listening and entertaining Candace Owens, then this is for you. And I'm not even gonna waste your time. Let's dive into this video, starting off with Charlie Kirk's words and thoughts on JFK, because I think that's a great starting point.
In the JFK files, Mossad is mentioned. One of the reasons why Mossad is mentioned so much is that they're just a very good intelligence operation. It was not mentioned as if they were tied or that they knew about it or that they were involved. Again, I think the best reading of what happened there is who wanted JFK dead the most. Again, a lot of people said Israel wanted JFK dead. I'd love to hear that argument. But definitely Lyndon Baines Johnson and parts of our own government, and the Cubans wanted him dead. And who actually made it happen? There were like 15 or 20 things that happened that day that were inexcusable. They changed the parade route. He rode in an open air convertible. LBJ decided not to ride alongside of him. The vehicle slowed down right when it went by the Texas School Book Depository. A lot there, right? And then again, I think that all of us are smarter to believe that it was simply Lee Harvey Oswald. The more important question is not, oh, who did it? We have to first acknowledge it, that more than one person did it. Once we acknowledge that more than one person did it, then we can expose our government to have lied to us about the JFK assassination, which then I think will sober a lot of us about trusting the government in the future.
I mean, right from Charlie Kirk himself, that was his own thoughts on the JFK situation. And a lot of people view this Charlie Kirk situation much like the JFK, because there are a lot of weird things happening with Charlie Kirk's assassination and this lone trans furry shooter that just shot him, a clean shot, and ran away. There's just a lot we're going to get into in this video. There's a lot that doesn't line up for people when it comes to Charlie Kirk's assassination, and people want to get to the bottom of it. Because to this day, it is still a conspiracy theory to go as far as say, okay, our government and the 15, 20 different people were involved in JFK and the files need to be, all the files still haven't been released. There's still so much going on and hidden with JFK that it's still considered a conspiracy theory. And there's something interesting about how we're just labeling people conspiracy theorists. We do it as if like calling them a conspiracy theorist is calling them crazy and they're unstable and they're not trustworthy. But we forget that having suspicion of our government and assassinations, especially more political ones, and questioning all that, that didn't come out of thin air. For decades now, the US, not even just the US intelligence services, but all around the world, the globe, intelligence agencies have interfered with domestic movements. I mean, we're talking spies infiltrating political groups, monitoring activists, and even experimenting on their own citizens. This is all proven. These are all things that the United States has done. It's like we're almost forgetting that the worst of the worst can absolutely be a thing. Hello, Jeffrey Epstein. Everyone was calling Alex Jones crazy and you're insane, and he has been wrong on some things. But this idea that there's an island where elites go and they're doing all these different things with children, and there's caves and tunnels and this and that, they were calling him crazy for that, and now we know that to be true. Again, I think sometimes we forget how dark this world truly is. We listen to true crime podcasts like it's entertainment. Serial killers, cult leaders, organized crime. We're listening to all that, hearing these crazy stories, and then we turn off the TV or we close the app and go back to normal life or the real world. But that was the real world. That was normal life. When we're reading about the Cold War espionage and all the crazy things that went on in World War I and World War II, hell, even sleeper agents and people from birth groomed into being a spy, being embedded into suburban neighborhoods, and then just to act when they're being told to act. It sounds crazy. It sounds like it's coming out of like a science fiction novel, but it's not. It's real life. Like that actually is normal life. Again, when we read about the government corruption and involvement in secret experiments, infiltrating political groups, surveillance programs, this wasn't a dystopian novel. That's current day. Like that's real life. We act like corruption is just stopped. It doesn't happen anymore. It's just contained to the declassified files, black and white pictures in the 1970s, as if that isn't the same world that's happening right now. We are living in history. We are living in that same world. The same human race hungry for power, the same human race with this huge capacity for deception, all of that. And that doesn't mean everyone's evil. That doesn't mean that everything's corrupt, but it does mean that corruption and evil people is not rare. It's not fictional, and it for sure is not limited to the past. So when some people hear a narrative that doesn't sit right with them regarding a situation, and there's gaps, there's contradictions, lies, unanswered questions, their mind doesn't go to fantasy, it goes to precedent. And once you really understand how corrupt things can be and how shady and just nasty this world can be, all the skepticism that you see being thrown around and the claims and the theories and looking into it, it, it doesn't sound like fantasy. It doesn't feel extreme. It just seems cautious. It just seems more aware. Now that caution still needs evidence, and the suspicion, it isn't proof. But damn, I feel like dismissing people and just calling them crazy, saying, oh, this could never happen or this could never be the case, especially when there are some things that don't make sense or it just looks weird. I feel like getting onto those people for trying to expose corruption or looking into see if there's corruption at a high level and just blowing them off as crazy. I feel like the crazy thing would be to just say that's not going to happen again. That just at that point, you're just ignoring reality and how dark the world can be. Because to an extent, I'm well aware we have grown as a nation, and the internet's such a blessing and a curse, because I do feel like more people, especially Gen Alpha, Gen X, millennials, we're in Gen Z, we're more aware that the internet is a thing. It's alive. You can't get away with a lot anymore, obviously. So this corruption is fading away. But to an extent, we're not living in a safer and more honest version of history. This we're living in the history. And the history, as we have seen, has not been clean. So when someone like Candace Owens questions whether the craziest things could have happened and looking into this theory, wondering connecting this dot back here, like doing the most, honestly, when she's out there doing the most, people are looking at her doing the most and thinking, that's absurd. She's crazy. She needs to be shut down. Add in all the slurs, add in all the attacks, add in all of that. But all the things that she's looking into, the only reason she's looking into it this deep is because it's happened in the past. The concept of coordinated deception and all the psyops and all these different things, that doesn't just live in a fiction novel. That doesn't line up for a lot of people. It's real life out here. Historically speaking, the absurd position would be to think that it would never happen again and things could never be that corrupt and our government would never collude with this, psyops, this, military operations, sleeper cells, all these different things, that's never is going to happen again. That would be the absurd take. It is justified to call out all of the very, very weird things that was happening to Charlie Kirk that he was very open about, that was happening to him before his death, and all the weird things that don't line up, that just don't make sense after his death. It's okay to call that out. Are there some extreme claims and innuendos and this and that? Yeah, but I'm free speech. Like, you can think what you want to think and say what you want to say. But again, knowing our government, knowing our world, the darkest things out there, I mean, shit. Do you blame them? For those that aren't aware, this man that you see bent over in cuffs right here, his name is George Zinn. And right after Charlie Kirk passed away, he confessed to being the one that shot him, even though he didn't. That's when my red flags went up. That's when my alert, ding, I was like, oh, it's a psyop. Something's happening.
Shoot me! Shoot me! Was that you? We don't know if it's him or not.
This is a weird operation. Somebody had put a hit on this man. Something's up. This random old man gets up, says, I'm the one that did it. I'm the one that did it, to distract the police, slow down investigations, whatever you want to say. And then dude goes to jail for falsely accusing and messing with the evidence. And I don't know the exact charges, but he went to jail for lying. And then they find CP on his phone. And then he basically gets sent to jail for life. That's weird. That's suspicious. This is one of them things that just does not add up, and it sent my red flags off. I'm sitting here like, why is this old man claiming that he did it and he's not? Odd.
But I want to take the start of this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic.
Everybody crapped on Candace Owens for coming up with these text messages that Charlie Kirk was abandoning the pro-Israel cause, and he wanted to invite Candace Owens to speak at AmFest because for the longest time, he was being pressured to not invite her, to not invite Tucker. For the longest time before Charlie Kirk passed away, he was stepping slowly away from being like this very, very much so pro-Israel type of guy. And to say he wasn't, these are his text messages right here. And Candace Owens said that, and a plethora of people and Jewish people were saying it's not real, it's not the case, he loved us, he loved me, he would never say that, yada, yada, yada. Candace puts out text messages, you're lying, you're being a fib, yada, yada, yada. And then on the Charlie Kirk podcast, Andrew Colvin goes on and says, Candace was right. So these weird lies, odd. Hiding this kind of stuff, odd. It's weird behavior. Charlie Kirk was actively losing Jewish donors from TPUSA because of his stance of not really listening to them 100%, wanting to have on Candace, having on Tucker, kind of really pushing back on Israel, because there was a podcast that Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro did. Was it the day before he passed? 2 days before? I want to say it was that same week. And Charlie Kirk is just like, I got some questions for Israel. What about this? What about that? And Ben's like, I'll pull up that video now.
We've pushed back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border. So maybe we should also ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned.
You can call it out. You can point it out and say it's weird. Things don't add up. You're lying about messages, suppressing messages. It doesn't make sense.
Erica saying that she had Charlie's phone and that Charlie never texted anybody the night before saying that he thought that they were going to kill him. And that obviously...
Now we're going to pause it right there real quick. We're not sure who this they, Charlie Kirk, was talking about. But as far as Saturday, February 28th at 4:40 p.m., Charlie Kirk, as far as we know, especially after these claims, we're going to finish this video, but as of right now, all the people involved haven't come out and said, here's the proof that this isn't a thing, this is that. That hasn't happened. What we do know, again, is that Charlie Kirk was telling people, hey, I'm going to get killed. Someone's going to kill me. Like, he was actively feeling this and expressing this out loud.
Obviously reflected poorly on me, because I was the one who said that he did, in fact, text multiple people the night before. And then I went on Jimmy Dore on Friday, Jimmy Dore's show, and I clarified. I said, Andrew Colvett told me specifically that he was one of the people that received this text message. So I got that first person. I didn't get that from a source. I got that directly from Andrew Colvett.
And to my knowledge, I could not find anything of Andrew refuting that. We already know she's made accurate claims. So
And then somebody who had access to Dan Flood's communications said that Dan Flood similarly received a text message. They owned that right away and explained. Erica said that she has Charlie's phone. She's looking at his iMessages, and it turns out that he, like everybody else, communicates on Signal. He communicates on Telegram, and that those when she heard me say that, they then went and looked, and yes, that what I said was true. Andrew Colvett received a message the night before, and Dan Flood received a message the night before. Now, they asked me if I had actually like a concrete a copy of what Dan Flood got the night before, and I said no. If somebody told me what it said, which was almost exactly what Andrew said, which is they're going to kill me. Andrew did not know who they were, that he was referring to were, but they clarified that the message that Dan Flood received said the left is going to kill me. So I can't confirm that one way or the other. I have to trust them on that.
At the bare minimum, you guys, everything's weird and everything's messy and nothing makes sense. Again, we don't know this but everything's just off. It's weird. It's weird to a lot of people. And I've said it before and I said it again. When I've met Charlie Kirk, when I met Candace Owens, way back in 2018, they told me two things. Keep using my voice and question everything.
I can confirm to you today that on September 9th, amongst a smaller pool of TPUSA employees, Charlie sent a text saying, the day before he died, that he wanted to invite me to AmFest. I'm going to now read you an unhinged text message that Charlie received, this time from a female Christian donor, Zionist, of course. Erica Kirk can confirm it's real that Charlie Kirk received this. Let's read this, okay? All of the people that trusted you, Jews and Christians, including me, why would you platform anti-Semites like Candace and Tucker? There are many evangelical Christian Zionists who would never give these people the opportunity to spew their hatred. I'm one of them. You say people are accusing you of being an anti-Semite because you disagree with the Israeli government. Well, what is it exactly that you disagree with? You threatened Jews and Christians with your 30 million followers. Are you kidding? Be very careful, Charlie. You are in violation of the 9th commandment by bearing false witness against your brother Judah. When was the last time you read your Bible, Charlie? I'm coming to you as a believer. Genesis 12:3. Obadiah and many more prophets warned that those who curse Israel will be cursed. Your TPUSA Tampa event was a disaster. Michelle Bachmann was booed, and about 10% walked out on her when she talked about standing with Israel. You brag about how you convinced all these young voters to vote for Trump, but you can't convince them to stand with our Jewish brethren. This is not a joke, Charlie. I'm coming to you as a sister in faith. You have accomplished so much by the hand of the Almighty, but he is going to lift his hand from you. Don't fall for Tucker, Candace, and the rest. The Jews are under attack. God warns us in the last days that he will wipe out the descendants of Edom because they stood by while their brothers, Jacob, Israel, was held in captivity and did nothing. Don't be counted among the Edomites. It will be to your peril, as well as the unfinished work God was going to do through you.
Again, it's weird. It's very weird. It's uncomfortable to learn about. It's uncomfortable to hear. But these are valid reasons and concerns as to why people are questioning the official narrative around Charlie Kirk. If there's more to it. And to question these things doesn't mean you're hateful or a bigoted person. It's to just look at our history and say, okay, what it's really to say, okay, what are we capable of? It's crazy. I laugh because we forget. It's laughable how crazy we are. The humans are crazy. Crazy. We got bombers, self-exploders. If you're that mentally in there, oh, crazy. The world's insane and people forget about it. They do. But all these text messages that are coming to Charlie and Charlie being concerned about his life and nothing adding up and weird things and dissembling guns, hiding it in a bush, and you can't really come up with this out of thin air. There's a lot of weird coincidences and a lot of weird things, okay? There are, and that's why people are questioning the entire narrative. There have been multiple moments in our history where someone was labeled a conspiracy theorist up until it's proven it wasn't. This pattern doesn't mean that every conspiracy theory is true, but this pattern does show that there are some institutions out there that are really deceitful and really shady, and they're hiding way more than the public actually knows. And that matters psychologically because once you really sit back and peep all this deception and fraud and the crazy things that's happened before, learning all of that, and then having blind trust for everything we're seeing now and in the future, and they can never do that and that becomes really hard to do, especially when more and more people are coming out saying, don't question this, don't say this, don't do that, don't do this. If you tell people don't, they will do. It's just that simple. Are there non-credible things happening, fake conspiracies, wild claims? Yes, of course there are. Because there does come a point where being a skeptic and just you turn into like this very paranoid, black-pilled individual. That can happen. But at the bare minimum, having distrust, that's a little different. Because when a narrative doesn't make sense to someone, when there are gaps, inconsistency, unanswered questions, at that point, is it completely irrational for them to withhold trust? No. You can disagree with what Candace Owens says and her conclusions and her trying to connect all these dots. You can fully disagree with all of that. But saying she's crazy, saying anyone who listens to her is crazy, anyone who's even entertaining her who is crazy, because anybody who listens to her doesn't agree with her 100%, but to just say she's crazy and everything she says is crazy, crazy conspiracy theorist, nothing's real, nothing makes sense. Well, have you looked at our past? At that point, you're actively ignoring the fact that it's these institutions, these nonprofits, all these different people and things that have earned the skepticism. They have earned people looking into them.
Even if you don't like how she acts, the pants she wears, her facial expressions, anything else, you have no actual evidence-based reason to think that she is guilty of committing any crime. And if she isn't guilty of a crime, then all you're doing is nitpicking a widow, which is every bit like critiquing the color of somebody's nail polish while you watch them drown in the ocean and make no attempt to help. Yes, maybe she made an odd choice of nail polish that day. She's also drowning. And that would seem to be the more salient fact.
I don't think it's as simple as you're just nitpicking on a widow. You're nitpicking on all the different things that don't line up and don't make sense. To say just because she's not convicted as guilty of something, then you're just nitpicking it, is the same as looking at all the different people involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, none of them are guilty, so you can't look into them. Like, everyone is equally okay to look into things and people. Like, you're allowed to do that. Just because you're a widow doesn't mean you're not allowed to critique them, you're not allowed to look into them just because you're a widow. No. In that case, that's the same thing as having an opinion. Believe all women. Just believe all women. Women are righteous. Women are always right. Believe them all. We don't do that either. So a widow catching strays too. Everybody ooh, that is wrong terminology. Rest in peace. Not catching strays, but you get what I'm trying to say. Everybody's catching the shade. Everybody's liable to be talked about, damn it. Shit. Everybody is liable to be looked into, to be a skeptic of, like, this idea that just because she's a widow, you can't talk about her. Oh my gosh, you're a horrible person. What? If anything, you're giving them more attention. If anything, you're giving the people you don't want to be listened to, you're giving them more attention by just having these blanket claims of you can't look into them because they're a widow, leave her alone. What? Since when did we do that?
I want to be charitable about this because I think it comes from a normal part of human nature, but it's worth paying attention to. It's worth learning good oratorical lessons from the president here. Some right-wing influencers seem to think that the best way to honor Charlie's legacy and to support Erica and the family is to spend all of their time talking about the people criticizing and antagonizing Erica and Charlie's friends and family. Does that make a lot of sense to you? There are people who seem to think the best way to honor Erica and TPUSA and Charlie is to focus all of the attention all the time on the relatively few people who are criticizing and antagonizing Erica. The most famous, of course, being Candace, who I guess has a new series about Erica, but some other people too, some smaller accounts as well. This theory, this strategy, seems to be a little bit misguided, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Whether you love Candace, whether you hate Candace, whether you think Candace is sincere, whether you think she's insincere, whatever psychobabble analysis you have, do you think it makes sense, if you want to support someone, do you think it makes sense to focus all of your attention all the time talking about someone antagonizing that person?
Is that the smart thing to do? No. Why are you giving, if you don't like Candace, if you don't like the things she's saying, if you don't like the attention, why are you giving it so much attention? It's like Nick Fuentes. If you don't like Nick Fuentes, why are you making all your content about Nick Fuentes? If you don't like Candace Owens, why are you making all your content against Candace Owens? I give one piece of content, sure. If it's actually unless it's actually impacting your life, what difference does it make? Because if I'm looking at myself and I'm looking at my content, this YouTube channel, I've made a bunch of content about trans creators and content creators that I don't like, but that's impacting my life. That's impacting how people look at gay people. That's impacting the laws that are being passed. That's directly impacting me. So I'm talking about it a lot. People are spending all their time and energy talking about Candace Owens. How is Candace Owens affecting you? Come on now. I don't get it.
Why are you freaking out about an investigative series if your whole premise is she's just an innocent grieving widow? Don't you appreciate how stupid you look? You're basically saying she's not a grieving widow. Obviously she's not, because if you investigate her, you're going to find something. Like, are you guys just not smart? Like, you should be like, oh, interesting. Well, she's great. So what are you going to investigate? No, they're like, pray for Erica. Someone's looking into her background. Pray. Oh, she will need your prayers. Her children need your prayers. They were doing that. Pray for her children. Why? Because she's at the office the whole time? Like,
Candace.
What was that? What was that freak out panic? When have we ever done anything to the children at all? Ever said anything? Of course, we want the children to be great. You should not be praying for the children because an investigative series is coming out about their mother who has chosen to be the CEO in her husband's stead. That's a decision that was made.
Listen, CEOs, I will put it at influencers. If you are a public facing individual and you have a platform, whether you're a YouTuber, mommy blogger, leader of CEO of a nonprofit, you are at the forefront to be judged and critiqued. That's just the world you live in. That's just what it is. And it is very strange and weird. Again, telling people, don't look into her, don't look into her. Well, now I'm going to double down. If there's nothing to find, go for it. If there's nothing to find, there's nothing to find. You're just going to find out how great she is. Cool. But if I find some weird things that don't make sense, don't add up, then I'm going to talk about it. Cool. At the end of the day, the main reason why so many people are tuning in to Candace Owens, hearing what she has to say, feels off about Turning Point Now and Erica Kirk and giving Candace Owens a time of day when it comes to her investigative series and everything that she's been claiming and saying when it comes to Charlie Kirk is because what happened to Charlie Kirk does not make sense. To a lot of people, it does not make sense. When JFK died, there were people that were like, oh, yeah, that's what happened. Cool. And there were people that were like, that's weird. That's weird. Same thing's happening now. There are people that are like, well, Tyler Robinson did it. We know exactly who shot Charlie. There's nothing to look into. That is it. And there's other people saying, no, this is all really, really weird. And that's okay. That's okay. So I'm going to leave you with that. I don't have anything else much to say other than you have the right to look into things that you want to look into. Say what you want to say. Do what you want to do. What I will leave you with is, again, the advice that I got when I personally met Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens. Question everything and use your voice. So with that being said, outside of this entire video, I'm talking directly to you. If you still here, hey, hi, hello. I'm glad you're still kicking it. Thank you for your time. I do know that whatever you got going on in your life right now, it's called going through it for a reason. You're not stuck there. You will survive. Whether it's friend drama, family drama, relationship drama, health issues, work issues, I don't know. I know insanely rich people that cry at night going through shit. And I know really, really poor people crying at night, obviously going through shit. And I know poor people happy, and I know rich people happy. I know there's various incomes, various socioeconomical statuses, varying ethnicities, race, or sexualities, all going through shit. Like if you're going through shit, one, you're definitely not alone. You are definitely not alone. But two, I hope that you're putting the correct amount of time and effort into doing whatever you have to do to continue to go through it is what you're going through. That you're not just sit there stuck in it, just willowing away, storming on you. Instead, you should be walking through the storm and getting through it. Instead, you should be hopeful that you will achieve your goals and dreams. Instead, you should be focused on yourself, what you're doing to change your immediate environment instead of looking out at everyone else, being jealous, being bitter, being angry, being upset. No. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you act moving forward. You can't control what cards life gave you, but you can control how you deal them. Does not matter. You have to address the core issues that you're going through in your life. And I think in large part, there's too many people that are wrapped up in this drama, concerned about Candace Owens, more concerned, quite frankly, about Candace Owens than they are their own life. More concerned about this Instagrammer here, celebrity drama here, family drama there, friend drama. You're more interested in weighing all these other things because it's simply just distracting you away from taking care of whatever you need to be taken care of. That's the sad part that I think a lot of people are currently going through right now. They're not putting the time and effort into their own lives in order to actually change it and become and be a better person. I feel like the more we all prioritize ourselves, our friends, then our family, then our community, the more we'll come together and it'll be chill. I have hopes for that. I do. But we can't get there if all these people are out here just too focused on everything else except themselves. So that's my little self-help positivity rant. I didn't expect it to go that long. Normally it's shorter than that. Just something on my mind and heart had to get out. So with that being said, thank you for being here. I hope you like this video. If you think someone else will like it, please share it. Subscribe, helps the channel grow a ton. Again, thank you for your time. And yeah, that's it. I'll catch you in the next video. Deuces.